have Monica Goyal speak. Monica began her career working as an engineer in R&D for companies like Toshiba, Nortel, Nokia, while also getting her Master's of Engineering at Stanford. So very much an underachiever we have with us today, like all the panelists. Her experience, having this background in engineering is conditioned her to look at innovations and looking at innovative solutions to problems. She currently sits on the CBA's Futures Initiative, and she'll be teaching a course on legal technology at Osgoode University in Toronto, or Osgoode Hall Law School. And she was recently named one of the top 10 women to watch in tech by the journal, ABA Journal, American Bar Association's journal.
Hello, everyone. I'm Monica Goyal, and I'm the founder of Aluvion and My Legal Briefcase. And Amy already gave an introduction of myself, but this is just to show you some of the websites that I work for. I am also at the Digital Media Zone, so that's at Ryerson's Incubator Accelerator, and that's because we're doing different stuff in the law. And one of the things that Malcolm mentioned was about automated, like a TurboTax solution for tax. So one of the things that I've developed and we're working towards is kind of looking at different legal processes and how do we processize it, automated forms, intelligent documents, stuff like that. So what I'm going to do today is I want to talk about what are some of the things that are happening online in terms of legal. And the first question that I just want to start with is, there is, and you'll hear this, that the law is going to, that there's changes coming to the profession of law. And inevitably, when that pronouncement is made, what they're saying is that technology is going to drive that change. And so what I'm focused on and what I work on is very technology focused. So the first trend, and some of these trends are probably very obvious to you, but future of law is online. And this is just thinking about how you use the internet day to day. We use it now for engaging with people using Facebook. We use it to buy tickets for airlines. It's like our source to, our go-to. So that goes to the, to this question. So in the future, who do you think will be the largest legal information provider? Is it going to be lawyers? Is it going to be books as a resource? Or is it going to be Google? And yeah, I mean, it's what we're doing right now. We are, when we have a question and we're looking for an answer, we go to Google. And it's a huge resource of legal information. So if you think about it, people go online, and like all of us do it, and we ask Google questions to in looking for answers. So this is, for example, WebMD. So WebMD is as big as it is because of that exact trend. People going online and looking for answers. And it's the same thing that we're finding in legal. So right now as a practitioner, oftentimes you'll have people come to you and they already have a sense of the answer to their legal problem, and they're looking for affirmation or they're looking for guidance, but they're educating themselves. And there's a number of websites out there that are focused just on providing answers to legal questions. And these are just a smattering of them. So Just Answer is one such website where you can go to and you pay $30 or $16. You tell them what you want to pay. And you ask your question and you'll get a response. So you don't have that uncertainty of $200 per hour. Advice Scene is just open. So you ask your question, and then if a lawyer in Canada or in the US, wherever the person is asking the question is from, they'll provide their answers. And so people are going there and they're getting free kind of advice on their questions. Avo is another one that's US-centric website. So the other trend, people consuming products online, services. So this is software as a service. Amazon, which Malcolm had mentioned earlier, if you just think about Amazon, like when it first started, I didn't think it was going to totally disrupt the book industry. And now in the US, there's only one major bookstore still standing, that's Barnes & Noble, and they're barely standing. So Amazon has made such a big impact in the delivery of books. And you're seeing different types of models coming up on the internet. So Salesforce is it's a customer relation management tool for the sales, for tracking leads and stuff for sales. And that's totally changed how people are doing sales now in businesses. Zappos is a shoe service. Again, these are changing how we consume our stuff. Highly regulated industries are being disrupted online. And this is something that in the last 3 or 4 years you're seeing a lot more of. So some of you might be familiar with this company, Uber. Uber is, Uber's been in the news recently because the City of Toronto is trying to prevent them from operating in Toronto. And the taxi industry is highly regulated. Like if you want to operate a taxi service, you have to have a license. And Uber is just matching people up, online marketplace that matches drivers with people who want a lift at a much lower cost rate than a taxi. Another example is Airbnb. So hotels are also regulated industry, and we're seeing Airbnb and a lot of pushback in New York City. There was a lot of pushback against people who were housing people without a hoteling license. And so for law, LegalZoom is actually a very big player in online in the US market. And what they provide is online legal documents. So you want to get incorporated. You want to have a will done. You go to the website, it's right there what the cost is going to be. It's much, much less than anybody else out there. And right now their valuation is around $425 million. This is an example from the family law context. This website is called Weaveworse. And what's interesting is that these are not lawyers. Like, I mean, there might be lawyers who thought up the idea, but the people who are involved in these enterprises are technologists, combined with lawyers, combined with investors, combined with sales and marketing. And so when you have that, and you're not in the confines of the regulatory sphere, you're getting different types of solutions. So what they've done here is they've totally mapped out, like for uncontested divorce, what are the things that somebody might need? And legal is just a piece of that process. So you get questions, you get guidelines, you get scheduling to help with custody issues, and you get upfront pricing, so fixed fee pricing. So that's the other trend generally, is moving towards fixed fee transparent pricing. So all of these online services, the price is right there. This is a website from somebody developed in Toronto, and it's called Flat Law. And lawyers are advertising right on the website exactly what they're going to charge for a particular legal service. So this is what people say is there's something special about law, that it can't be automated. And I just want to read a quote from a book that I'm reading, written by 2 professors from MIT. And what they say in that book is that our brains are extraordinarily good at taking in information via our senses. So us as people, we're very good at taking in information, examining it for patterns, But we're quite bad at describing or figuring out how we're doing it. So what philosopher Michael Polanyi said is that we know more than we can tell. And so it was very much a statement or thought in academics and with scientists that there are certain tasks that can't be computerized. So one example that was cited was driving a car. So if you think about driving, when you're driving, as a driver you make a left turn, you're looking at the signals, you're looking at people, there's a lot of information that you're processing. And that was, like, in the last year or so, has been changed because what we see is, I'm just going to go on. Is a self-driving car. So before, what scientists thought couldn't be done, what we're seeing is very complex human tasks being automated. And so in the legal space, we're also seeing expert systems. An example of that is this company, Neota Logic, and they've done some interesting stuff with Georgetown University in the United States. For example, how would you calculate time off? Leave calculator. They've done a number of really interesting projects, and these are more than just forms or documents. This is like rules-based intelligence. This is another example of a company that's Canada and the US, Diligence Engine. So, if you were living in poverty in the US, how would you access the internet? Library, work, your cell phone. In 2013, 14.5% of the population in the US was living in poverty. And if you look at how many people in the US own a mobile device, it's 90% of people. So there's been studies done, and it shows that actually in certain socioeconomic stratas that people are accessing the internet primarily through mobile devices. And that is actually across the board. Our use of accessing internet through mobile is increased. So that's like actually a pretty big trend, is people using mobile devices to access the internet. This is an example of a company that they're only mobile. So it's like a contract, and then you would access it using your mobile device. It's an NDA or whatever contract it is, and you can sign it right there. Another trend is that I want to talk about is the use of the internet to assist in terms of providing accessible and affordable legal services. So there's a number of companies or services out there that are leveraging the power of the internet to provide resources to people who can't afford it. So CALI is an institution in Chicago. They have an enormous amount of resources online to teach people about law. And this is an interesting project that they have. They have something called Access to Justice, A to J Author. Pro Bono Ontario is using that in Toronto at one of their law help centers. And basically what it does is it will ask you questions, and then based on the answer, it will produce the like your statement of claim, your motion record, and stuff like that. So that's a really interesting project that they have. This is another example. It's Law Gives. These are a number of students from Stanford University, and what this is a resource for to connect people with lawyers who are willing to do pro bono work. So it will pair people who are in wherever they are. Doesn't matter geographically. And the other trend is thinking about law and online, is this online dispute resolution. So BC has implemented something called a consumer complaint system. And if you think about this, this totally changes how we deal with disputes. So now you can have two people, they're in their family rooms watching TV, maybe on their computers. It takes away the burden of having to travel somewhere and being physically somewhere. It improves accessibility. So this is in British Columbia, and I'm pretty sure we'll see more and more of this. eBay actually is one of the largest dispute resolution, online dispute resolution providers. They handle millions of complaints every year. Yes, it is. Yep. So who is driving this online legal service marketplace, like the legal Zooms, the WeVorce? Is it lawyers? Is it paralegals? Is it non-lawyers? And I think one of the things, Malcolm, described and talked a lot about what's happening, but the services are being driven by non-lawyers. These are non-lawyers who are involved in these initiatives and who are driving this. And do we want that? That's a question for all of us. So this is right now just a snapshot of what's happening in the US. So there's a large amount of venture capital investment that's gone into online legal services. These are just some of the companies that are out there. There's a ton of them that have started up. And if you think about it, a large majority of them, who's involved is not lawyers. Okay, that's it.